Today's episode is a special one. I'm joined by Rene Balke, a well-known YouTuber in the algorithmic trading space. Rene doesn't just talk about expert advisors. He programs his own, develops complete strategies from scratch, and even runs live-streamed real accounts, which is still rare in our industry. He also teaches traders how to build algo strategies through his online course. So today we will go deep into development, mindset, and what really matters when trading with robots. And before I start, please double check and make sure to subscribe, because this helps us a lot to gain the capital needed to test more and more EAs on live accounts, so you guys can choose which EAs to trade based on real results. Rene, welcome to my channel. It's a real pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Thanks a lot. Actually, I was super happy when I received your email, and of course I'm glad to join on your podcast.
To be honest with you, I was really surprised how many YouTubers responded to me, because transparently with my team we went over 400 YouTube channels and we invited probably about 10 because we didn't like the content for most of them, to be honest. It's a lot of fake YouTubers, as you know, fake traders. They are YouTubers, but they are fake traders, like they trade live accounts. So we really wanted to pick real traders who are YouTubing, and we picked probably 10 people, and from all of them you're the only one that responded and decided to join my podcast. So it's a real pleasure to have you. I'll be happy speaking to a trader who is YouTubing, honestly.
Yeah, I think that really shows the situation we are in, or the industry we are in, kinda. Like, most people are really just talking about trading, but they're not actually trading. And yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit different in this regard. Yeah, not hide or lie around.
Absolutely, because if you don't want to show on a podcast, it means there is something you're hiding, right? You're not comfortable with something. And I've noticed a lot of things with the other YouTubers. I don't want to talk about them. I want to focus on your content, the strategies you are developing, and I'll be super happy if you share more of your trading experience with our audience today.
Actually, this would be the perfect time now to drop some names from your side, but I'm sure you will not do it. To expose some.
and I also want to say something before we start, is that it's a personal achievement for me to have you on my podcast, because you were one of the persons I was watching and learning from when I started trading third-party EAs, because I didn't have experience, and I saw your videos where you were reviewing strategies, you were backtesting, and now having you on my channel is really a personal achievement. It's a great pleasure to have you on the channel.
That's a great feedback. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm around for a very long time, and doing the coding tutorials, I was actually, I think, among the first ones who did it on YouTube, which was lucky for me, because I could gain a lot of attention back then when I started, like 10 years ago or so.
And let me ask you, how did you personally get into algorithmic trading?
I guess it's kind of the same story for everyone, because when I started with trading, I was like everyone. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make money easily, quickly, in the best case, without a lot of effort. And actually, after learning, like when I was like 15 years ago or so, when I was learning back in Germany, like at a German bank, I was learning for 3 years there, but then I realized actually banking is not trading, and it's not really operating like I thought it would be. So I switched from there to a very small company who also provided trading education, so courses, in-person courses, and there was also a little asset management attached to it. Asset management firm, so I also switched to this firm then, and there I got into trading for the first time, really, but this was all manual trading, so there was no automation at all. And for me, this was always a bit, I don't know, I was questioning it, because there were some strategies even in these companies where they traded the same thing every single day. And to me, this was so stupid to do it manually. So I started to do some research, and then I found the MetaTrader, and I realized it's actually like quite easy to program or code for the MetaTrader, and also I was immediately hooked. So I watched like there were very few YouTube tutorials actually back then, not so many, but I watched the few that were out there and I started to learn, and it took me a lot of like sleepless nights actually in the beginning, but yeah, I'm glad I did it, and then I started to develop my first strategies and kind of just stick to it, and it's crazy, but now I do it for almost 10 years, so it's a very long time.
I can imagine that. I believe we went through very similar paths. I've shared my story with my subscribers. They know exactly how hard it is. And I think, as you said, we're in the shoes of everyone who wants to quit 9-to-5 job or switch from manual to algo trading. And I think we just click together because we are pretty much in the same mission now, where we share realistic trading with our subscribers. We share what we are doing in the daily life of trading. I'm sure the right people will appreciate that. And was it hard for you to switch from 9-to-5 job and work for yourself? How did you turn the page?
Not really, because to be honest, I never really had a traditional 9-to-5 job. I mean, after doing school, I said I learned 3 years at Commerzbank in Germany, like a big like retail bank. But that was just the learning phase. So I was not really working 9-to-5. I was also going to university at the same time. And after that, when I switched to the small like trading education and asset management firm, it was also more like a startup environment, I would say. So not really 9-to-5. So it was a bit more flexible. Sometimes you work more, sometimes less. And then after being there for 1.5 years, I immediately started being self-employed at the age of, I think, 23. Yes. So I started with a friend of mine at a very young age. So to be honest, it was really easy for me because I didn't have any standard in my life I had to keep up to. So I could basically start all of this from my like student dorm or like very small room in a shared flat. So it's not like I had to leave a high standard behind to escape 9-to-5 and start the trading journey. For me, it was not that hard.
You had actually a great environment to do that, and the great timing to do that, because I honestly spent like 10 years switching companies. It was really hard moment for me. That's why I asked you. But the sooner you do it, the better, as always. And what pushed you towards programming your own expert advisors instead of using ready-made ones like market EAs?
Actually, in the beginning, it didn't even came to my mind to purchase EAs, because for one obvious reason is that I didn't have money. So, and you know yourself, like some of these expert advisors, they are like sold at like 500 euro, 1,000 euro. And if you're just kind of fresh out of university or just, at a very young age, you cannot just invest 500 euro for an expert advisor and you don't even know how it will perform.
Because you will also need money to put in your life account, right? It's not just purchasing the EA.
So that was the obvious reason. And then there are, of course, other reasons why I still code the expert advisors I use myself. Is that for me personally, it's a good feeling to know exactly what's written in the code of an expert advisor and how it exactly behaves. And here I'm a little bit or what I always tell my own viewers on YouTube, that like if they use an expert advisor from a third party or someone else, they should at least know how the expert advisor works, how it operates. And I personally would have a bad feeling to just use a black box from the internet, because I mean, we all know the MQ5 market, for example, and the sellers, and it can be a shady environment, so you have to be extra careful.
Absolutely. I remember at the beginning I was also picking EAs that I generated, for example, myself, because as you know, I'm not a developer. I don't know how to code EAs. So that's why I'm very happy to have you on the podcast today, so we can share some more coding experiences and the algo trading. But I started with FSBA Studio, the strategy generators, where we can download the code. And even I didn't know how to program, I at least knew what's in there, what's the logic, what's exactly the entry, the exit rule, and you feel like you have control. That doesn't guarantee it will be profitable, right? But at least you know where you're putting your money. And so I completely hear you on that one. And when we touched programming already, who do you think should actually learn to code their own EAs? For the viewers that are beginners now, or for the listeners, because it's a podcast, those that are wondering, should they buy EA or should they program? And those that are willing to program, what do you think is the best approach to start? How people should start into programming their own EAs?
The first question was like whom I would recommend to learn programming, or who should buy ready-made expert advisors. And I of course, I always promote learning how to code, but to be honest, it takes a lot of time. So if you are like a family dad or mom, and you have children to take care of, and you have a job and you don't have time to learn coding, then it can be a very tough task. And not everyone is in the position that I was, like being kind of very young. I didn't have to take care of a family and stuff like that. So for me, I could invest a lot of days, weeks, or even months to learn how to code. But if you cannot invest the time, then maybe you can also look at ready-made or like already existing expert advisors online, or you could use like also AI now becomes really good for coding, or EA builders. You said there are different possibilities, but if you have the time and if you really want to understand how the MetaTrader, for example, or the trading platform you use, how it works, then I think there's no way around learning a little bit of coding at least. And for me also, what I think is one of the biggest benefits, if you learn how the code is structured in the MetaTrader 5, how it looks like, how computers in general work, like conditions and how stuff is executed, this also gives a lot of trust, I would say, because many people they say they are trading manually because they don't want to lose control. They don't want to give control away to program. But if you have a look at actual coding and if you understand how computers work, then you will gain this trust automatically, because you know there is a code, it's working, you can test it, and if it's working, then it's not just randomly opening 100 positions, for example, in the night. And this is what really is one of the biggest benefits if you yourself have a look at least basic coding. And quickly also, your second question was how to start, and obviously there are like programming courses, etc. But if you just want to start, it doesn't make sense to buy expensive programming course. Then just go on YouTube, watch free coding tutorials on my channel or on other channels. There's a lot of really, really good content out there. So even without purchasing any course, you can learn 100% for free. And YouTube is a great source of knowledge for everyone who wants to learn or build their own expert advisor with a tutorial.
Absolutely. And while Rene was speaking, I saw on his website that he's also using IC Markets as a trusted broker for algorithmic trading. They're huge enough to handle algo trading, millions of trades daily, super fast execution speed. So I'll leave the link to IC Markets if you want to have a trusted broker for expert advisors. Oh, and if you have missed the podcast in Dubai with the head of trading, I'll also leave the link in the description. While I was doing the research for you before the podcast, I saw that you have a programming course. Can you tell a few words about it to our listeners?
Yeah, sure. So the programming course is for the MetaTrader 5, and it's a complete course. So even if you don't have any programming knowledge, you will learn everything about coding. Like,
so it's suitable for people without any experience,
Yeah,
even if they are not developers, like
Yeah,
if they
for
don't
sure.
know
So
any programming language.
You don't have to have any knowledge. You will learn all of the basics like variables, data structures, etc., etc. So the coding basics and how the computer works, etc., etc. And then the course is structured in a way that you will learn how to create your own expert advisors. So you will build different expert advisors throughout this course. For example, the range breakout EA that I use a lot, and it touches every point of MetaTrader 5 programming. So in the end, you will learn how to code your own EAs, and that's, in my opinion, a very important skill, or very valuable skill if you want to trade automated long term.
Yeah, quite often our subscribers ask about it. To be honest, we don't have such a course in the algo trading space. I'll put a note with my team to have a look at the course, and we might consider adding it as well to the algo trading space, because the idea of algo trading space, once we created the platform, was really to put the best developers, the best TAs, the best brokers, everything in one place. So I'll let you know about it, and if we do, we can leave a link down below in the description of this video so people can find it easily. And you actually answered to my next question: what are the advantages of building your own robot compared to using third-party EAs? And it's actually a pity that the vendors and the people from the marketplaces don't provide you the code, because you pay for it anyways, right? That's, at least you can provide some portion of the code, but I don't know, maybe this is how the marketplace was built in the first place, so they don't share the code, and it's really like a black box. You don't know what you're trading.
True. I mean, it's understandable that they don't share the code, because if they would, everyone could just copy the program and resell it. So it's also, of course, helping them to protect their own product. But I can mention some more benefits of coding the programs yourself. These are not the only benefits. Like, for example, also if you write your own programs, or let's say if you purchase a program from someone online, or even if you ask a programmer to do it for you, you are still very unflexible and you're very dependent. Because what happens if you test the strategy and you would like to adjust a little bit? You cannot. You cannot.
No, I've went through that. I'll tell you about it. I went through that in the beginning. I hired developers to do that. It was a horrible process. Honestly, it took months to come up with a simple strategy, because those programmers that do not understand trading, they take it very literal, they don't understand the concept, the idea of the strategy. So the EA was arriving like not ready to trade, and I was giving feedback, and in a couple of weeks they will return it, and again and again and again. It was, I gave up very quickly. I don't recommend that, and I agree with you. It's either one of the two. It's either you dedicate your time, if you have that time, to learn to code, or you use the market EAs, the ready EAs, the ones we review. You've reviewed many on your channel. We reviewed many. We have live results on the algo trading space. So it's really easy to pick strategies that we've tested. That's the goal. But somewhere in the middle doesn't work. Like for me personally,
I mean, if you have a lot of money and time, you can also hire a developer, but I was on this side. I offered programming services for a few years actually to clients. So I created hundreds of expert advisors for clients, but I also know what amount of money I charge for that. So I can tell you it's not cheap to hire a developer.
Are you still doing that or not
No,
anymore?
I'm not doing that anymore, because it became a little bit boring, and to be honest, I don't need the money, so I kind of stepped away from it, and now I do things I really enjoy. So
that's exactly why I asked you, because here comes the point. If you hire somebody, if he's good enough, he wouldn't do it, right? Like, if you find somebody to hire, he's not going to be the best developer in this, because if he's the best, then he would sell his own EAs, he would be trading with the EAs.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like some time ago, I really wanted to hire a YouTuber. So because before I was the only one to record on the algo trading space, and I said, okay, I need more people to talk about trading. I cannot handle it myself. And it's the same situation. I cannot hire somebody because if he's good, he will have his own YouTube channel. He won't need money, right? So I started educating people from scratch, and it worked well. It took time, obviously. So it's the same thing. It's very challenging to find the right person that he will be good and he will be doing it on hourly rate or per project.
Yeah.
That's why I personally wouldn't suggest hiring and trying to build EAs. It's either you do it or either you pick one of those ready-to-use EAs that have proven track records.
Yeah, I agree.
And if the listener today is a complete beginner, what are the biggest mistakes you've seen or you've went through when you started with algo trading? What people should avoid at the beginning, according to you?
I think algo trading or trading in general, we always see the same characteristics or behaviors in young traders or starting traders. And I was the same, so I'm not excluding myself here. But usually in the beginning, we tend to think that it's a little bit easier than it is actually. We always focus on the profits more than the risk it has. And this is probably what I see most also in my YouTube community or in the comments below my videos. Young traders or starting traders that are not experienced, they expect a lot of returns, but they do not really get this relationship or the connection between high returns and the risk, obviously, because we all know we can double our account in 1 year, but if you double your account in 1 year, it always comes at a risk. It's never risk free, and if you aim for 50% a year, it's still a big risk, but it's of course a smaller risk than if you want to double. So this is a very crucial connection between risk and reward, and it always kind of goes hand in hand. And this is what many people don't understand, and they think there's really like this one strategy or this one EA that is just better than every other EA. It's just more safe, more stable, and making more profit. And I mean,
they're always looking for this golden egg to find and to become millionaires, right?
And it's also understandable where this idea is coming from, because you told it in the very beginning. There are so many people on YouTube or online that talk about trading. They just create this image of the always winning trader that just has the skill to print money, kinda, and it's a scam. It's a scam, but there are many people who make use of this scam, this image, to deceive viewers a little bit and make them open an account with their partner broker or make them sell and make them buy their course or product. And that's how these channels or these people really make money. I'm pretty open in this always. I also talk about that on my channel, like how much money you really get from broker partnerships, etc., etc. And for me personally, I get paid a lot more from my partner brokers than I get from my trading. So I'm honest about this, and I think it would be good if more people are honest about it. But yeah, it's unfortunately not the case. And of course, it's easier to sell your products or whatever if you create the image of the ever-winning trader. So that's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is.
You pretty much repeat many of the things I've said in my videos, and I'm really happy we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been following recently any of my videos, but I pretty much repeat in every video that our target is to make 2% a month while we risk 50% in the account. And at the beginning, the community was a little bit, why that lower? How come, the risk is so big?
Yeah.
And I've concluded after many losses, I've shared many of the losses I had as well, because I want also to be transparent. But that's the realistic thing. As you said, 50% a year is twice safer than 100%, or even if you make 2% a month, that's 24% a year. But still, you need to accept the risk of losing 50 or even 100% of the account. The risk is always on the table, and that's absolutely true. And one more thing I want to share with you regarding what you just said. I remember this, it was around 1 year ago, we had a kind of a team building. We will always do it like twice a year to brainstorm and discuss, and one of the team members was very worried, like, why we work so hard, but why the channels are not exploding? How come the other traders on YouTube, they have millions of subscribers? And I told them, don't worry, it's better for us to have couple of subscribers that are real traders. They know exactly what they're looking for. That's why they're following us, rather than people looking for entertainment. Because for me, all of those YouTubers that are showing expensive cars, mansions, they are entertainers. And as you said, they are selling the idea of getting rich quickly, which is illusion, unfortunately, in my opinion.
They are very good storytellers usually. So sometimes I watch videos on YouTube accounts like, I don't know, like MambaFX or like these names, like these most likely scammers. I mean, I never met them, I don't know their accounts, but they're very good at like creating a hype, telling a story, creating an image, and it's, to be honest, I'm entertained sometimes.
But you don't give your money to them to trade, right?
Yeah. I feel sad sometimes for people who buy a trading course and expect to. Yeah,
absolutely.
But, yeah.
You've mentioned an account. You're one of the few traders who is live streaming a real trading account. I saw that recently. Yeah. How did you decide to do that? I'm asking you because I was thinking about that, but I never figured out how to do it or reason to do it. So tell me, how did you decide to do that?
To be honest, I was a bit afraid to do it because, as you know, like whenever you go public with something, people will judge you for it. And since I mean, of course, I use strategies that I believe in. I believe it can be profitable in the future, but there are no guarantees. Of course, it is at a risk. So for me, it would have been really bad if I started this account and I would have just lost money. But luckily, I didn't. And I started this actually just kind of out of the same reasons I just talked about, because I want to be a little bit different, take a little bit a different approach. And I think if I talk about trading or algo trading or whatever, I should kind of show that it can work or it can be stable, because if not, why would we even do it? I mean, why would I offer products in this to trade if it cannot, if it can never make money? Then there's basically no reason to trade at all. So yeah, I just decided to start the live account, show like actually the same account every day on my VPS 24/7. It's live. So I think that's the level of transparency that you cannot really fake, because if someone has a lot of free time, he could really watch every single day what's going on. So there's no way for me to fake it. And I just wanted to show that automated trading really can work, and I'm glad it was working quite good in the last years, even though I always say that I cannot guarantee anything for the future. Of course, I know my tests, I know my numbers, like theoretically I can be profitable in the next years, but the future is always uncertain, and I cannot expect to make 50 or 60% every year now like I did in the last 2 years, because that would just be unrealistic to expect.
I absolutely agree with you, and I had a podcast with the head of trading of IC recently in Dubai. He said if you...
I watched this one actually.
Oh, did you?
Of course.
I think he said something like, if you want to teach surfing, you need to have a surfboard or something. So exactly, we want to have trading accounts to show in the videos if you want to be transparent. So a really great idea from you to show your live streaming. And one thing I can tell you, of course, not a piece of advice, you are experienced enough, but even if you lose this account, your live streaming, it will be still great if you show it and explain what happened and like I did that recently in a couple of my videos, because obviously sooner or later we will lose an account. It's inevitable, right? But then when you show it, people understand that there is a risk, and I believe we will earn even bigger trust rather than just hiding it and then switching with another account. And then it's always great to show losses too. And how do you personally deal with drawdowns when trading fully automated systems? I shared with you, and I've shared it in many of our videos. For us, the threshold, that's the rules I've created some time ago. It's 50% of the account. That's like where I'm feeling comfortable, but I'm not trading a huge account like yours. I saw that yours is big. We are trading many small accounts. Like the goal is to have a 100K portfolio, like 100 different accounts, 1,000 each. So if we lose 50% in one of the account, that's actually 0.5%, right? But let's say the trader is or the listener is having one account and he doesn't know, he cannot find himself comfortable with the risk. What is your drawdown tolerance? How do you handle drawdowns?
I think there are two different ways to approach this, because when we trade CFD and Forex, for example, also futures, we obviously trade leverage products. So I always think this idea of saying you trade a 50,000 euro account or 10,000 euro account, it's I mean, of course, you need to name a number, but it's not really, like, you cannot really say it that easily, because you can trade a 10,000 euro account and you can leverage 100 times, or you can trade a 10,000 euro account and you can leverage once or twice. And that's a completely different story. So that's a huge difference. And even though I trade my account, like this account we talked about, the live account, I traded like a 50,000 euro account. Like that's the like risk that I kinda take and would accept here. I don't even have 50,000 euro in this account, because since we trade leveraged products, I don't even need that money, because I only need a fraction of it to provide the margin.
Exactly.
So that's a few words about like account size in general. I think account size, it's a very vague metrics, and it should be more like about the leverage you actually take, or the actually invested money. But you asked me how I deal with drawdowns, and to be completely honest, I hate it. I think I have to be honest. I don't like drawdowns. It's not like I'm down 10% and I'm like, cool. Of course, it's really bad. But I see two different things I want to talk about. Like, first of all, I said if I'm in a drawdown, it's not a good feeling. It's a bad feeling. I don't feel good, to be honest, but I only trade with a risk that I can afford personally. So even if I would lose it, I don't lose my roof over my head or something. So, and this is something I would recommend to everyone. So if you are feeling very bad, and if you cannot stand it, then maybe you're trading with too much money. The second side is the actual trading, and that's what many traders, I think, struggle with, that once they are in a drawdown, they start to change their trading. And that's, I think, the second point. And this is where I really found a solution in automated trading. Because when I was trading manually in the very, very beginning, like 10 years ago, this was my biggest problem. I'm not mentally strong enough to do it. I will be completely honest. I cannot lose 5 trades in a row, and the next trade will be with the same logic, the same calmness, everything. Right. If I lose a lot of trades, it will do something with me. But for me, the answer, obviously very easy solution, was to go to automated trading. And ever since, I did not change my trading at all when I'm in a drawdown. And this is, I think, one of the biggest parts of long-term success, because if, like, as an automated trader, we all know that we have the possibility to do backtests. And if we do like really long-term backtests, like 10 years or even more, we will see that, or at least that's what I see in all of my strategies, there are drawdown periods. It's completely normal, it's completely natural, but we really have to understand that these drawdowns are part of the game. As we discussed before, without risk, there is no profit. So these drawdowns are normal. And for me, automated trading was the one thing that really made me like mentally stable or stick to my strategies in drawdown periods. So that's for trading. And then, as I said, on the other hand, personally, still I suffer a bit if I'm in a drawdown. It of course, it changes me a bit. I'm hoping that it will recover, but the trading doesn't change. And if you really cannot stand a drawdown at all, and if it's having a too negative impact on you, then you're trading too much money or you're using too much leverage. So then I would definitely also recommend to use less leverage or less money, because it's not worth it to endanger the stability of your family just because of trading. That's a bit irrational in my opinion.
I understand you completely. Just recently, one of my very close friends wanted to start trading with EAs, and he wanted me to recommend. I avoid recommending EAs ever, especially to friends or family, of course. I told him the results are public on the platform. If you want to pick one, you're welcome to do that. But the thing, what I've noticed with him is he had this amount of money. I'm not going to mention how much. And he came with the idea that he will put the money and he's risking all of it, right? And I said, you don't have to. You can just risk 1 or 2 or 5%. Plus, for the very basics, if you're using stop loss of your strategy, that's exactly how much you're risking in the account, right? It could be $1,000 live account. And if you have $50, for example, stop loss, that's how much you're risking. The problem is when people lose, they keep adding and increasing even the positions until they blow up, right? Until they lose everything. So I think it's very important for beginners to understand that it's not just about how much you will deposit with the broker, but how much from that you will risk. You know, what will happen with the money if they start to decrease or to increase. You need to have a plan. And just this morning, we had one of the EAs reaching 50% in the account. So it's again like 0.5 from the full portfolio, but it was like $500 loss. And somebody from the VIP was asking, okay, what do you do with the rest? And I said, you know, nothing. I just withdraw it. I tried, it didn't work, but I'm not risking the rest 500 in the account because obviously the CA wasn't good enough. It couldn't handle it, or maybe bigger account was needed. So people should really have an exact idea what they do. If they make profit, do they withdraw it? Do they build it? Or if they lose it, do they risk everything? Or, you know, you risk 20% and just say, okay, that strategy didn't work. Let me withdraw. I will think, I will demo test, I will back test, and I will see what I will do with the rest of the money I have.
Yeah.
So that's a very good topic we touched here.
It's actually really interesting. I think that's almost for everyone. I think it's a very human character trait that we like to underestimate the risk and overestimate the chances. We always try to hope kinda, and we think that the profit is more realistic than the loss, and this can trick us sometimes. So that's also why we are so easy to just double down, because we think, no, we can make it. And it's a very irrational thinking, but I think it's very human.
Absolutely. I see it with every beginner, to be honest. And you know, one interesting question we always get is how much I can make with the EA, but a few people will ask, how much can I lose with that EA? Right? People always come and say, okay, how much I can do with $1,000 or how much I can earn, but they never ask how much I can lose, which means that people at the beginning, they don't think about the risk at all. They only think about the profits, exactly what you said.
And again, this really shows that many people don't really understand the connection between risk and reward. Because if they ask, how much can I make with this EA? I always get this question sometimes, and then I sometimes respond, depends how much you risk. It's really like you can have the exact same EA. It's a very simple test. Like if you use the backtester and the MetaTrader 5, you can use the exact same strategy. All of the settings are the same, and one time you trade with 1% risk per trade, and the other time you trade with 3% risk per trade. Of course, the 3% risk per trade will get a better, like either better result or worse result, because the risk was just higher. But It's very natural. These are like very basic economic principles, but it's also very important to understand.
I want to touch a little bit more about the programming because it's interesting for me. We don't have in the team a true programmer who is developing expert advisors. Let's say I'm a complete beginner, right? I don't know trading, I don't know programming. How important is programming compared to trading? Are they equally important, or is it like you have to learn to program, yes, and then you can just focus on the strategies? How did you combine both when you started?
For me personally, backtesting is a very important tool, because if you do not backtest your strategy, how do you know if it could work? It's basically gambling. I mean, even if you backtest it for, let's say, 10 years, there's no guarantee that it will work in the future. But personally, I would say that the chances, if it was working for 10 years, there's a chance that it will work in the future. But if you don't have any backtest, I don't know. To me, it's a little bit like gambling. And this is why I would say it definitely makes sense to learn how to code or to use automated programs at least, so you can do these backtests. Because if you just focus on trading in the beginning, and to me this kind of means that you are trading manually, how do you know what you're doing? I mean, of course you can pick up strategies online from gurus, but how do you know that it might work? How do you gain any trust in this strategy? And what people do then is they trade for 1 week, and then they see they made a loss, and then they get very insecure and they want to switch the strategy. But if you have long-term backtests, which you can make if you know how to code, and if you have the actual, like, let's say, expert advisor for the MetaTrader 5, then you will see that 1 week drawdowns for most strategies are completely normal. So in my opinion, it's a very big advantage if you know how to code, or if you know how to test and do stuff like that. And also, I mean, one could say that you can also test manually, but whenever I watch a YouTuber and he said, I was testing this strategy 100 times, like the pen and paper method, kind of like going back in the chart and testing, I always laugh a little bit inside of me, because it's such a unprofessional way of testing. It's like really stupid, because first of all, 100 times, it doesn't mean anything. Then also, if you do this pen and paper test, if you just go back in the chart, you don't include any trading costs usually. You always assume the perfect execution. And this is just completely unrealistic. Like, you're just tricking yourself. You're just fooling yourself. And I don't know, there are so many, like, even huge YouTube channels, big traders who make videos like this. And it's just a complete joke, because testing 100 times manually, it's just not helping at all. You really need to test long periods of time, and that's where you need automated programs. There's no way around it.
I remember I did that once, like 10 years ago. I thought I found, the golden egg. It was with moving averages, and then and I realized that they're repeating. So what you see actually back on the chart is not sometimes the execution or the value of the moving average was different from. At that point was different from what you see back on the chart. I was so disappointed after that. I didn't find the golden egg, but yeah, I've seen many YouTubers doing that. It's just a complete waste of time. But again, they are entertaining the viewers, right? Yeah.
I mean, entertainment is one thing. Scamming is a little bit another thing. Yeah. But that's why it's important. That's true. I mean, at least we can try to be a little bit more honest and
Absolutely. I believe this is very important. And where do you see algorithmic trading heading in the next few years, Rene? How do you see it going forward?
So I think if we talk about algorithmic trading, actually coding in general, there's at this point not really a way around AI, because it's the one big topic, and everyone talks about it. And I think for a reason. I just did this experiment like 1 or 2 weeks ago, where I used ChatGPT again to code an expert advisor. And I had a very good comparison, because I did the same about 3 years ago. I also tried to code an expert advisor with ChatGPT or let ChatGPT code. And back then it was not good. It was just not really useful at all. But now it became so much better already. And this kind of shows the speed at which AI is advancing. And now I was able to create a range breakout EA, like a very simple version of one expert advisor that I use in a few minutes using AI or ChatGPT. And it was actually good. I was surprised. But this has also shown me that I'm sure AI will take a bigger and bigger role in automated trading in the future. On one hand, for the coding, I think here it's very useful already. On the other hand, this is where I don't have a lot of experience, but I think probably we will also use it for like actual strategies. So there will be, I think, in the future there might probably be like AI, machine learning included in actual expert advisors. I think nowadays most people, especially in the CFD and Forex space, most people use it more as a sales term to sell more products.
Yeah,
that's very common. For example, on MQL5, they say it's a new AI strategy, and then it's not. So that's what we can see right now. But I assume in the future there will be definitely EAs that use some kind of machine learning or like AI analysis inside of their logic. But with this, I honestly don't have a lot of experience, but this is where I see this algorithmic trading going. I think coding actually will go back quite a lot in the next few years because AI coding is getting so much better. And then, maybe we will also integrate AI or machine learning for actual strategies.
I understand what exactly you're saying, but just not to confuse the beginners who are watching, when you say AI improved in the programming, you still need to check the code at the end, right? You wouldn't put a live account with a code that only came out of the AI. And because you have the experience to check it, you would say, okay, yeah, that would work, or that saved me a couple of hours writing the code manually. But then you will have to go through the lines and see. And if you're a beginner and you have no idea, wasting money.
This might surprise you right now, but I think, I checked the code that AI gave me, like ChatGPT gave me a code, and I checked it, and it was actually good. So I think it was safe for a live account. So I think if you give it like 1 or 2 more years, I think AI will be like really good. I think it might be stable and safe. It's another thing if you can really trust it. This is where I personally probably would have a little bit of a bad feeling if I don't know any coding and I just use what ChatGPT or Claude AI or some AI gave me. For me personally, it would probably be a little bit of a bad feeling, especially because usually I don't watch my accounts, they just run on the server. But I can do this because I wrote the code myself, but if AI would write it, I'm not sure if I would have this trust.
Exactly.
But also, I really cannot complain about the code that I got from the AI. It was good. It was good. So it was surprising to me.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-AI. I also use ChatGPT and a few others. But for writing emails, research, structuring things, planning things. But as you said, I don't know programming. That's why I probably wouldn't trust it. As you said, I'd prefer if a human actually checks the code after that. What are the skills, taking into the account that AI is inevitably part of the future and the present, what skills will matter the most for algo traders in the near future?
Skills? I don't know what skills are, because to be honest, like many traders always say you need to learn this skill trading, but personally I think this is a little bit a weird saying, because I don't know if you can have a skill. For me, trading is more about like the quantitative part, the research, the statistics, and for me it's not so much about having the skill to look at a chart and like seeing the direction it will take, because I think that you cannot predict. So for me it's more about like really preparing a strategy in a way that you develop it, that you test it, that you then use it and monitor it. So these skills you maybe need, and for that you need maybe some character traits like being patient, having a stable state of mind, like not being greedy, like being hardworking, like do a lot of tests and really invest some time and effort into it. I think these are more important skills or character traits you need. I don't know if you can have the skill to trade, because I mean, this is what many people usually say online if they want to sell a trading course. But I don't know if you can really have this skill, because if you would have this skill, it would basically mean that you can print money, and then like huge corporations would make use of this skill. And what I think is it's a bit funny, because people always believe these trading gurus that say that they make hundreds of millions every year, and then you look at like huge hedge funds who really have all of the possibilities, all of the money in the world, and they struggle to make 50% consistently per year. So it really always comes down to these like unrealistic images that are created online when it comes to short-term trading, and it's really not so much about this specific skill to make guaranteed profits in the futures. And for me, it's more about like developing strategies, testing, and then finding a good risk-reward ratio for your personal situation, for your portfolio, and then trying to make money out of this. But I believe there's no skill that will guarantee you trading profits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. While you were saying it, I just wrote in Google, what is skill? I just want to see what the dictionary will say. It says,
what does it say? I don't know, actually.
It said the ability to do something well. And I just imagine how the previous generations were doing manually knives or something, for home. And when you're skilled, you can do it perfectly the same every time, because it's the same material using, the same moves you need to do. But when it comes to the market, it's so unexpected that even if you're skilled today, tomorrow it could be totally different environment, totally different market. So it's a variable. And I also think that those emotionally accepting the risk, all of these stuff we discussed today are actually much more important if you want to be profitable, to accept the risk, to know that you're risking money, and to know how much you're risking, to avoid emotions. All of these things are probably the most important, even more than the strategy, right?
I believe so, especially when we look at automated trading, because then you really don't need a trading skill, because you're not trading yourself. It's the program who does the trading.
Rene, I really enjoy talking to you, but we will have to finish the podcast sooner or later. I want to ask you one more question. What is your best piece of advice you can give to the beginners who are listening until the end of the podcast, and to the more advanced algo traders?
Actually, to beginners, I would give them the advice to not believe everything that they see online, and that they instead of just following trading gurus online, that they should invest a little bit of time and effort to really understand how trading works. And I'm not talking about how it works in terms of how you can like read the market and make profits, but more about how risk works, how reward works, how leverage works, like how all of this works together and then creates the outcome that you get from your actual trading. But it's really important that you understand these things before you start risking your hard-earned money, because usually beginner traders, of course, they come from a 9-to-5, for example, and they are investing the money that they earn with their like day-to-day job, and it's just not worth it to risk it without even understanding what they are doing. So that's very crucial. You should understand what you're doing, and then I would always also recommend the kind of the path or the road that I took personally, you can try manual trading, but once you realize that it's not really like consistent, or that it's just too stressful, then just give automated trading or maybe programming a try, and maybe you even like it. I think it's the biggest leverage that you can have in your trading career, if you really have the ability to create your own programs, do your own backtest especially. This gives so much trust into trading and into all of this. So that's very important. And for advanced traders, I don't know. I mean, if someone is trading for a long time and he's profitable, I don't really see that I can give any advice, because I'm kind of in the same position. I'm not seeing myself as a trading guru or something like that. I'm seeing myself as someone like everyone else. I'm just trying to make money in the markets. I'm surprisingly successful for the last 2 years, but I don't know what the future will bring. So I feel like I cannot give advice to seasoned or advanced traders, but for those who are maybe in the trading industry or trying to trade for a while and they're not profitable yet, then I could advise pretty much the same things. Don't jump from one strategy to another, but invest the time to learn how to actually code or how to test properly the strategies, and then don't risk too much and go for it. And you should also one thing that I would always recommend is, if you don't enjoy it, then you probably shouldn't do it, because many people see trading as a way to get rich quickly and easily, but that's just not true. And that's what everyone realizes after a while. It's actually a lot of work. So if you don't enjoy it, then you're a lot better off just doing any job that you enjoy. So just do what you like, and if you don't like trading, don't do it for the money, because it's not the get rich quick strategy that you hope it would be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, your last words were so true, and you said it in such a good way, and you touched this niche of people. I believe it's a huge niche of people that are actually trading for a long time, and they keep losing, and actually we receive many emails, requests, subscribers, comments with people saying, hey, I want to start with algo trading. I have 10 years of experience in trading. And I just tell them, okay, watch the beginner course, because it doesn't mean anything you have these 10 years, because you need to start, just, forget everything, forget the experience, forget the pride, and start from scratch. Because if you are not profitable till the moment, then you're doing something completely wrong.
Yeah.
And what's even worse is when people try to revenge the market, right? They've lost money. It hurts, I know. And I always tell them, okay, first you need to forget about it, right? If you want to pause 1, 2, 5 years, totally forget the emotion, accept that you've lost, and start from scratch with algo trading. But don't try to, if you've lost $100,000 and then you have $500 left and they want to bring back the money in their bank account, that's impossible. You will lose whatever you have left. I have a client. Okay, one last thing I want to share with you, because I enjoy speaking with you. I had a client not long before I did the Algo Trading space or the EA Trading Academy. Previously, I was working for one of the brokers, right, from when I was switching companies. It was even before people were funding accounts online. So he physically came to the office and he funded his account. I think equivalently it will be around 10 euro. He put 10 euro in his account, and I took the euro. There was like a cash box, and I entered the amount in his account, and I saw that he lost $140,000, and he came to fund 10 euro.
Really?
That was the moment I realized how people, keep trying to make money after they have a huge loss.
Yeah, I think it's a very human emotion that you think you can get it back, but it's, as you said, it's extremely unrealistic. You a little bit lie to yourself, and that's a problem, I would say. So so I can only recommend to take the, I know it's a boring approach, but it's a better approach if you really use automated programs and do like backtests and stuff like that, so you understand a little bit better how the risk and reward thing works, and that's important, I think.
Absolutely. And when people accept the concept of 2 to 5% a month or 20-30% a year, they just feel comfortable. They know exactly how much they are targeting, how much they are risking, and they don't put these emotions on the table.
Yeah, and 2% a month is a lot.
Yes.
If you just calculate, like if you use like the compound interest and you calculate it over 10 years, I would be glad if I make 20% every year. I would be more than happy.
One last question, Rene. Do you withdraw profits from your live accounts, or you keep building them?
No, I do. And the reason for this is that that's also what some people don't know, but if you trade with a Forex or CFD broker, it's an unregulated broker, and we can be honest here. I think you're trading also, like the broker is the market maker. It's not like you're trading over an exchange. So when your money is with this broker, I mean, of course, I trust my broker because it's one of the most reputable brokers and it's around for a very, very long time. But still, even this broker is a market maker. All of the brokers are market makers. So it can happen that the broker will go bankrupt, and then what do? I mean, that's why I don't want to have too much money in these accounts. And currently I keep it at around 30,000 euro, which is I mean, it would also not be good if I lose it, but I don't keep, like if I would not have withdrawn any profits, and if I started with the 50,000 euro, then my account right now would be at 110,000.
Right.
And I don't know if I want 110,000 in an account. And also the second thing is, what I also already mentioned is that if we trade leveraged products, we don't need the money in the account. We just need enough money to provide the margin. So if I would have 100,000 euros sitting in this account, it would be completely dead money for me. I cannot do anything with it. So this is why I keep 30k in the account for trading. That's more than enough for trading, more than enough to provide the margin for my positions. And the rest I just withdraw, and a majority of my personal fortune I just invest very traditionally in index funds. So it's very boring, but it is what it is. I have the most of my money in index funds. I keep a small percentage for very aggressive trading. And I think that's also what is quite reasonable and what I would recommend to most people. Because if you trade with all of your money, yeah, I mean, good luck falling asleep at night. I would not recommend. So yeah,
that might be a good thumbnail for today's podcast. Rene, thank you very much for joining the podcast. It was a real pleasure speaking with you. I hope we both answer any comments if they are down below the video, and of course we will leave the link to your YouTube channel, and I'll be very glad if I invite you again and you accept it, maybe next time in person. But definitely we will do another podcast. It was a great pleasure speaking to you, and it was a great fun for me.
Yeah, thanks a lot also from my side. I had a lot of fun. I think we have very similar opinions in many points, which makes it good to talk to you. And I would love to see you in person for another podcast if people want to see this kind of talk. So I'm definitely up for it.
Okay, thank you very much, Rene. Have a great day and enjoy your trading and everything you do. All the best.
Thanks a lot. Same to you. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.